Hi everyone, Michelle Ferreri, Member of Parliament from Peterborough Kawartha. Look at all of the friends I got to meet today. We're in between Jasper and Edmonton right now. We're heading to the Edmonton airport. And I just wanted to show you the pipeline. Has the government forgotten who we work for? Let me remind everyone, we work for the people. Yeah. Okay, ho ho ho, Buckhorn Santa Claus Parade. There's Mr. and Mrs. Claus. This is the Ice Cats.
Did you know Peterborough Music Fest is Canada's longest running free summer concert series?
Delilah is in grade 1. But anytime you see these kettlebells, guys, major help to a lot of people. So good work to the Salvation Army. Bye, Delilah.
Hi, my name is Pat, and I was working on Pierre's campaign in Waterloo, and I have a picture with Pierre.
And he's so proud of this. He stopped to show me his picture with you. He loves you. So Pierre for PM, right?
Pierre for PM, yes.
This is my friend Bailey Gibson. I just played a game of baseball against him, and he won an award for hardest working player because he got me out. He plays in a league called Challenger Baseball, and it takes people of all abilities, right? And he's outstanding, and he's a very big fan of yours. And what would you like to say to Pierre?
I just want to say you're a good speaker, you mean well, and I really hope you change this country. You say what you do, and I really hope this, I don't know,
That's perfect.
It's quite the honor. I hope one day I can actually meet you face to face.
11,959 new members to the Conservative Party of Canada.
Buying food, gas, or rent. Now, I know the Prime Minister has never been in a situation of such hardship, nor does he know the cost of these necessities. So my question is, how would he advise my constituents? Should they choose to buy gas, or rent, or food?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Our government has always had the backs of small businesses.
Yesterday, during a press conference, the Prime Minister said, and I quote, "Some people will say we moved too quickly. Other people will say, no, we should have acted weeks ago. The reality is this. The Emergencies Act is not something to take lightly. It is not the first thing you turn to, nor the second, nor the third. So my question is, Mr. Speaker, can the Prime Minister please tell Canadians what first, second, and third actions he took before invoking the emergency? We have extreme labor shortages. We have ridiculous delays at the airport, at Service Canada. We have a deep divide in this country that has prevented family and friends from maybe ever speaking again.
Shameful.
And there is one thing that can stop all of this. Drop the mandates and lift the ridiculous travel restrictions. Experts from across every sector agree, except our Prime Minister. He tells us we are still in a pandemic, yet every province in every other country except China and North Korea has lifted these restrictions. So other than wanting extreme control, what is the reason for punishing Canadians and our tourism industry? We need to look at the return on investment when we delve into prevention, treatment, and recovery. Right now, we are caught on a merry-go-round. EMS respond to an overdose call. They take the patient to the already maxed out and resource-depleted ER, and the patient is released only to overdose within hours or days, and the cycle continues. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Imagine driving the streets searching desperately for your child. Imagine waiting for a call late in the night telling you that your son or daughter has been found dead. It's a pain many of us cannot imagine. A couple of weeks ago, I hosted a very informal roundtable in my riding of Peterborough Kawartha, listening to parents who have a child struggling with addiction or have lost a child to addiction. These are some of the quotes that deeply resonated with me. Stop assuming I'm a bad mom. No one told me what to do. I was waiting to be told how to fix it, but it's not about fixing them. Mr. Speaker, I chose to run for politics to bring better awareness and treatment for mental illness and addiction. The reality is, recovery centres are desperately needed, especially in my riding of Peterborough Kawartha. But so is a social shift, understanding that addiction is treating pain. So I urge everyone in this House to replace judgment with empathy. And I urge the government to hold true to their election commitment and invest the $4.5 billion they promised for the Canada Mental Health Transfer. Our homeless crisis in Peterborough-Kawartha continues to soar. We have at least 317 people on our streets. 317 people. This past weekend, One Man's Mission united dozens of people who donated their time and money to take part in the coldest night of the year walk in support of a new charity, Street Level Advocacy. Scott Cooper, the founder, walks the streets of Peterborough every day, connecting with people living on the street. He set a goal to raise $20,000, but the charity raised over $28,000. Wow. Leanne Quinn has received the Order of Military Merit Award, the highest order a member of the military can receive. She's the honorary Lieutenant Colonel to the Hastings and Prince Edward Regiment. She's an all-star athlete. She's a Guinness World Record holder. She's an RN. She's a nurse practitioner who volunteers her time at Camp Maple Leaf. She received the Florence Nightingale Award in 2007 as Canada's top nurse. She's served and practiced medicine around the world in war-torn countries. She's also a survivor of PTSD. Leanne is passionate about mental health, solutions, and service. She retired this past Tuesday so she can devote all her time to the Brock Clinic, which she worked tirelessly to make happen. The clinic offers free care for the homeless. Leanne, you have done so much for this community, and I promise, as I said I would, I will continue my work on this federal level to work across all party lines to ensure that mental health care becomes a priority from coast to coast to coast in this country. Leanne, I am so honored to know you. Mr. Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity now to speak on a devastating loss in my local community of Curve Lake First Nation. Selena Taylor was 22 years old when she was brutally attacked by her partner on September 3rd, 2020. Selena was on life support for 6 months before she passed away with her family at her side. Cassie. She was a daughter, a sister, a friend. She met the intersection of mental illness and addiction, and the system failed her. Cassie's lifeless body was discovered at a local music store in my riding of Peterborough-Kawartha on Election Day, September 20th, 2021. Our country is in a mental health crisis. The first hurdle to getting help is to seek it out. But the people who have the courage to go and ask for help are being denied that help. People are literally dying waiting for help. My question is, the Liberals promised $4.5 billion via Canada Mental Health Transfer during the election campaign, which was promised to start in 2022. Yet in recent budget, there is nothing. Zero. There is nothing for the Canada Mental Health Transfer. Why?
That's shameful. The Honourable Minister of Mental Health and Addictions.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the member for the question and for the recognition of this as Mental Health Week as we increase the awareness coast to coast to coast. As you know, in 2017, we dedicated $5 billion over the next 10 years. We've added $45 million to develop the national standards that will then become the strategy that then will become the transfer. We have to build this bottom up with those with lived and living experience.
This is Joseph. Joseph, what do you want to tell people about disabilities?
I want them to know that we are human beings like everybody else. Just because we are disabled doesn't mean we're not a material that you can push aside. And I want you to go and tell everybody about disability and not be afraid of it.
Michelle, if I may turn it to you, I mean, it is disturbing to put it mildly to hear you, but it's reality when you have so many people living with disabilities who are considering MAID, medical assistance in dying, instead of living. Do you want to expand on how real that is for the disabled community?
It's extremely real. I gave testimony to the MAID committee, the Joint Committee of the House and the Senate earlier this year. And, you know, the friend that I mentioned, she's somebody with post-viral syndrome, basically, which as we live in this, you know, post-COVID era, we don't know how many people are going to join that. And she's somebody that just cannot afford to pay for treatment. But we know that there are people in Ontario who have used MAID this year because their housing was toxic to them, not because they didn't want to live and not because their suffering was irremediable. The remedy to their suffering was financial. It was because they lived in poverty. So I truly believe that we're out of whack at the moment, that we have legislation by this government that is moving forward, and in March of 2023 will include more people that can apply for MAID, but that's only half of the picture. We're not looking at the poverty angle and the way people are being forced to live.
So you actually have insurance for third-party sexual misconduct liability. Of that $9.64 million, how much of that is always going to third-party sexual misconduct liability?
I apologize. I don't have that available to me here today.
Can you get that for us, please?
I think we would be happy to share that with the minister and the compliance audit. Any of the financial discussions, we look forward to confirming that through the audit process.
With the committee, not just the minister.
Okay,
Thank you.
sorry.
Send your complaints to your MP. That's the proposed solution to the outrageous passport delays by the Minister of Families and Children and Social Development. Canadians expect service from Service Canada, yet we know that 11 of 35 passport offices have chronic lineup problems. People are waiting for hours on hold and often get disconnected after waiting. This is not service. This lack of accountability and lack of preparation is unacceptable. When will the minister stop telling Canadians they are doing a great job and actually acknowledge the severity of this issue and serve Canadians? I think one of the polarizations that happens when we have these conversations is we think we know something about somebody and we haven't really experienced their culture or their livelihood. The one thing about Alberta that I would tell you is that this is probably one of the most beautiful spots in Canada. They are true stewards of the land. When you walk or drive through the Rockies and you see the land that they have to coexist with and the wildlife, there is a great love and respect for this land. And so I think to vilify people for pipelines and our resources that we have here is an unfair assumption. And I think we can have better conversations and learn more from our neighbors in different areas of our country, because each province really has a different culture and a reason for how they feel and operate. This we can see from this week's events when thousands of Canadians have come to the nation's capital to be heard. And our Prime Minister has still not addressed their concerns. Listen to the diverse voices who speak a multitude of languages and who shape this country. This is the words of our Governor General. Beautiful words. But Canadians are sick of words that our government has failed to act on. They want honesty, transparency, and they want leadership.
I can see clearly.